Hello everyone. Hi. I'll just wait for Need to come on. But yeah, come on in guys. Get started once he's in. Oh, hello. There he is. Alright, I'll just request me now, or accept rather. Okie dokie.
Yes, yes, yes. How's it going?
Honey,
I'm very well,
how are
man. I'm
you?
very well. I'm very well.
Good. How are you?
Surviving as most would say, but rolling with the punches, rolling with the
Good.
punches, man.
In-
How about yourself?
Indeed, man. What have you been getting up to since? Yeah, I'm all right as well. I'm
Yeah,
doing well. Just making the most of this time,
have to
lockdown
have to
and
adapt.
whatnot.
Have to adapt, isn't
So,
it?
I'm here. I'm alive. Yeah, exactly, exactly. What have you been doing since
Literally
lockdown
just trying to keep
2.0? Like,
myself
what have you
busy,
been doing
man.
with yourself?
Honestly, obviously with the launch of Renegades, which I'll get into after, it's been keeping me quite busy recently. Great perception. So yeah, been mainly focused on that and trying to essentially build up the brand and obviously with Dole as well and Run with Purpose. So balancing three. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's getting there. It's getting there and managing it well so far. So yeah, it's been a busy period, but it's good, man. The main aim is changing the narrative. So yeah. How about
Mm,
yourself?
that is
I
good.
see Christelle just come
Yeah,
through.
do you know what?
Hi, Christelle.
Literally a bit of everything. Like, yeah. Hey.
Yeah,
No, same here to be honest. I think I've just been working on
yeah,
myself really, my own personal brand, trying to
yeah.
yeah, start up this series as well. So I guess just yeah, getting busy with doing that, launching YouTube and whatnot, and
Yeah.
just personal growth and development to be honest.
No,
People are
100%,
growing to be honest, like that's all you
100%,
can do
100%,
in
100%.
times like
No,
this.
I love that. I love what
So,
you're doing, man.
so yeah. But I
Love
just want
what
to
you're
say
doing, man. Honestly, keep
I
inspiring, man.
appreciate it.
Keep
Thank
inspiring.
you. Thank
All good, all good, all good.
Oh, appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Pleasure,
But I just want to say thank you for
pleasure, man.
hopping
Pleasure.
on and taking the time out to speak to me. Um,
Thank you, thank you, thank
Congratulations
you,
on
thank you,
launching
thank you.
Renegade. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, just to kick it
Yeah,
off, and for anyone who doesn't know who you are, I'm speaking to Neil Latte right now, who is a content creator. He is a brand strategist and a social entrepreneur. And as you mentioned, you co-founded As a Society, which is a platform that tells the
yeah,
stories of real people, as you guys like to call it. And you're also the co-founder of Run with Purpose, which is a community for men to help them overcome mental illness
yeah.
through socializing, as you said, through running, getting together, building that kind of community. And you've worked
Yeah.
with many brands as well with both platforms.
Could say
So you
so,
know a
yeah.
bit about branding yourself.
Of course, of
Well, you
course, of
must do.
course.
You launch a consultant, you know?
I don't. No, go on, sir.
Indeed. So obviously,
I like to be on a
well,
humble approach.
no, go on. Fair enough. Fair enough.
No,
So you
thank
got
you, thank you,
things. So, like,
thank you, man.
congratulations to you. Honestly, you've been working on a lot. Yeah. So I don't want to tell your whole story. So that was just a brief introduction. But I want you to kind of tell us a bit about
Mm.
your journey into entrepreneurship. How it kind
Hmm.
of started off because I know you started off doing journalism.
Yeah.
You graduated. Was it broadcast
London
journalism
train, yeah. London train.
from Nottingham Uni? Yeah, exactly. And you've moved
Yeah.
on into entrepreneurship, as you said. So, how did you get into
You know
becoming an
what? It
entrepreneur?
really
What was
just
the
stems
journey like?
from sort of my background and like essentially where I've grown up as well. Because I think why I have essentially sort of maintained and sort of essentially gained this sort of mindset has mainly been through the background and my upbringing. And so I live in Wood Green. I'm 26 years of age, if
Yeah.
people didn't know. And as a lot of people would associate Wood Green as living in a very rough, deprived area. And you know, for me, obviously, um, that outcome and that upbringing, there's some people that can essentially fall off from that upbringing, but I decided to use it as an opportunity use this to overcome certain barriers. And for me, it was a case of overcoming a lot of barriers that, you know, that were thrown at me. And it came to a point where I'm using this opportunity to really delve into my purpose and to inspire others who are within this current circumstance to do better and to essentially fulfill their purpose. So I've always been passionate about people. I've always been passionate about change, and you know, essentially changing the narrative, as I mentioned before. And I wanted to do that through journalism, which is why I studied journalism at Nottingham Trent University. You know, essentially telling stories from you know, real people and allowing people to be inspired to essentially create change, because I've always been passionate about creating content for purpose. And I thought that I could do that through traditional media. But one thing I realized is that with traditional media, they tend to pigeonhole you, and they tend to, you know, isolate the authenticity of the story. And it's an industry that I thought I couldn't really thrive in, because one, it restricts me, and two, I'm not essentially relating to other people that are, you know, currently going through these situations. So which is why I partnered up with my partner, Ahmed Fades, and we decided to create a platform called Dose of Society. And as you mentioned before, it's a digital media platform, and it's for the unheard voices of socially conscious millennials. And what we have is a community of 150 people around the world in 150 countries as well, who essentially share stories on the ground and update people about what's currently happening in their towns and cities. And essentially, the bigger vision is to, you know, create communities around those different communities, and allow people to tap in to what is currently happening in their society. And yeah, we were fortunate enough to receive investment from Snapchat, which has turned our passion project to a full-time project, to now business. And honestly, it's been an amazing journey. There's been so many other sort of events, and there's been so many other, you know, things that have happened to essentially bring and edify, you know, Dose of Society. But for us, it's truly been a journey of turning the passion project into a business. And obviously, throughout the period and throughout the process, within that process, I decided to also set up a charity called Run with Purpose, as you mentioned before. And I've been passionate about running. I've been running for the past 7 years now, and running has definitely been an escapism for me, and it's definitely been, you know, it's turned from a hobby essentially to a lifestyle. And I wanted to use jogging as a way to edify other people, because I saw the true benefits that running brought to me in terms of my mindset, and in terms of my health as well. And that's when I partnered up with my good friend Joel to create Run with Purpose, which is a community helping men overcome mental health issues through running and socializing. And our mission is essentially to create a safe space for men to become the very best version of themselves. And we launched in June 2020. For that period, the amount of stories and the essentially the testimonies that we've heard have been amazing. You know, from guys who have really benefited from Run with Purpose and attending our runs. And it just goes to show that what we've created is truly essential for men in today's society, because, you know, in today's society, men are bottled up when it comes to their emotions. And what we're offering is essentially a safe space where men can just open up and be vulnerable about their emotions. You know, saying, hey, that, you know, asking questions, whether it's like, when was the last time you cried? Or, you know, when was the last time I said I love you, you know, to your father or your mum? You know, it's essentially about opening up and allowing people to be vulnerable about, you know, your emotions. And yeah, throughout that process as well, we've managed to partner with amazing companies, which has truly been a journey. So we're looking to go from strength to strength. And yeah, obviously recently launching Renegade, which we'll get into. But yeah, it's honestly been a journey. Thank you.
I love that. I love that so much. I think that's amazing. Like you said, I think the key word you said as well was purpose. Like when you tap into your purpose, it's easy to inspire people naturally. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's important for a lot of us to tap into that purpose. I feel like with education, as you said, it's not
Yeah,
really a part of us that is nurtured. You know, you go to uni, you go into school, and you know, you learn how to do exams, you learn how to write essays, right? But you don't learn
yeah,
social skills, you don't learn life skills. You have to tap
mm-hmm.
into your creative side, your purpose, and how
100%.
you can kind of give back to your community, how you can develop yourself. And I think it's really important, like you mentioned before. You know, you study journalism, but like you said,
Yeah,
essentially, I studied
yeah,
journalism
yeah,
as
yeah,
well, so I know what it's like. it's um,
100%.
it's hard. It's hard, especially for people that look like us. Let me just say that. And especially when you want to tell the stories of people that look like you, it's like no one's
Yeah,
really interested. You know what I mean? So I feel like you have to sort of platform and be able to tell those stories and showcase those stories if you know that's what you want to
yeah,
see essentially, and you want representation. Um, so yeah, I think it's really important
100%.
that you've done that, and I think it's amazing that you've done that with Dose of Society.
Mm-hmm.
Also, with Run with Purpose. Again, mental health
Yeah,
is something that isn't really spoken about. You know,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, of
really
course, of course.
we know it's hard, I guess, for men. You
Mm-hmm.
know, generally open. And I think yeah, what you've
Thank
done
you,
with that is
thank you,
amazing.
thank
Like
you.
I've seen the stories. I follow you guys on Instagram,
Honestly, you know,
and
one,
yeah, it's all right. Yeah,
one
you're
thing to
welcome. I think
one thing to just add
it's a
as
space
well,
where
is that I didn't just
yeah,
wake up and just become an entrepreneur. That's what I wanna like let people know, because
right.
I never had any sort of business acumen from the get go. Like I was me, and when like
Mm.
business entrepreneurship, from the get go, it was purely, I was coming from a creative mindset. You know, obviously with those and studying journalism, I wanted to just create
Mm.
stories to inspire people. But it along the way with my passion, I wanted to turn that into something bigger. And I believe everyone has a purpose and everyone has a passion, but it's about whether you're available to tap into that. Are you willing to tap into that to essentially edify that purpose and allow other people to be inspired and create that change within your communities, as you mentioned before. So I think everyone has the capability of because I don't want to romanticize the entrepreneur, the term entrepreneur. you know I think everyone has a passion and everyone has a purpose. It's just about you tapping into that. And it's fine if you don't want to become an entrepreneur. It's fine to work on a 9 to 5, but what else are you doing in order to fulfill that passion outside of that 9 to 5, um, in order to fulfill your passion into those. Oh, sorry,
Definitely. I think you
sorry,
got ahead of
sorry,
me really
sorry,
quickly
sorry. I
because that
got a
was
bit
my
excited there,
next
mate.
question. No, it's you made a good point. You
Yeah,
made a good point. I was actually going to get into the whole
yeah,
entrepreneur word, and just say that I know a lot of people have a
mm,
misconception about what entrepreneurs is. Some people see certain
yeah,
entrepreneurs and they look a certain way and they do certain things, and they feel
of course.
that's not me. I can't call myself an entrepreneur, right? But I think it just comes from creating an idea, turning it into,
Yeah.
like you said, a business or a way to help other people. Um, I did want to get onto actually the term
Mm.
social entrepreneur because that's what you like to call yourself, I guess. How would you say that the term social entrepreneur differs
For
from
me,
what an
the reason
ordinary
why I call myself
entrepreneur
social
is?
entrepreneur, because it has a social aspect in terms of bringing change to communities. So for those of society, as I said, we galvanize a group of people around the world who essentially share stories on the ground to then inspire other people to create change and create solutions that would better our society, essentially. And then also with Run with Purpose, we're tapping into men who are space where they can be vulnerable and essentially become the better version of themselves. So in a way, I'm using Dose of Society and Run with Purpose to create change also within the mental health and fitness realm as well. So that's how I would say it essentially differs from an ordinary entrepreneur. I would say just by adding the social aspect, it really edifies the social aspect and drives um, and really hones in into the social aspect of how you create change within society.
I love that. I love that. That's true. Because I feel like sometimes you think entrepreneur is all about being an entrepreneur is about the money, making money. But no, I feel like it's really important how you impact other people and their life too. I think that's an important part of it because essentially when you do have a business is to offer a service to somebody. So yeah, it's good not to let that fall to the
Yeah,
wayside and actually
yeah.
put that at the forefront of what you're
Oh,
doing,
thank you.
definitely. So I love that. I
Yeah.
love what you're doing with purpose, as you said, building up community, as you should.
Thank you.
As you should. Okay, so next question is, when did you start taking content creation and branding
I would
seriously?
say when essentially starting those really and truly, well, those society really broadened my, the whole idea of branding and content creation. Studying journalism, I really married the two, with creating stories and also essentially creating my own brand. So I had to really hone in on building my brand, but at the same time creating content on that brand that essentially aligns with both each other. So I would say, we've developed our brand and we've essentially edified it in a way. And it's a way of essentially emotionally attaching yourself to the consumer and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? So,
Mm.
what we're doing with those and really sticking to it. Then, we branched out to doing a whole load of things where it came short documentaries, it into interviewing influencers. But now we've really delved into community, an international community where people have come to us and said, "Hey, I want to create videos for you. How do I get my story out there?" And we realized that there was a potential, there was an opportunity to reach out to more of a global audience, which is why we've honed in now more on an international base where people are sharing stories on the ground and just allowing people to be more aware of what's happening in other people's towns and cities. Because if I was to ask you now, what's happening right now in, let's say, Tanzania, most people would essentially go straight to CNN, to Google, but you don't actually hear it from, the person that's actually living there and that's on the ground experiencing what is happening. We tend to hear it from, a news anchor or a correspondent that they've flown out there, but they don't live the experience. They don't, understand what's actually happening, except for the person that's living there and that's actually experienced it. So why not hear it from them? So that's why we essentially honed in on that. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah, essentially, with the whole prospect of branding, yeah, honestly, it's been mainly through those, and that's when I really saw the potential of building other brands like Run with Purpose and Renegade.
I love that. I love that. So you've got like citizen journalism going on basically, essentially, with Delta Society. Sort of.
There's practical elements of that.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? There's practical elements of that. But we're just a real life social issue platform where we're just trying to inspire other people through, and especially millennials. A lot of millennials and Gen Zs, we get thrown off by the term news. But essentially, because there's a lot of journalistic practices within what we do, we're trying to change that narrative and trying to bring a more of a youth perspective, approach it in a different way, rather than just, as I said, having a correspondent there or having a news anchor presenting the news and presenting, what's happening. We're having people that are on the ground and speaking about what's happening. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we're trying to shift away from that a bit, shift away.
Got
Yeah,
you. Kind of with young people and kind of even market it to them that not so
yeah,
like newsy and make them want to turn it off, but rather listen to the people that look like them, the young people, and it's kind of a way that's fun and not fun essentially, but
yeah,
in an interactive and engaging way. So I know, for example,
yeah,
you guys you're on Snapchat. Yeah, you're publishing on Snapchat, so I guess that's a
yeah,
perfect way as well of doing it and engaging young people. You won't see it on the news essentially, but it's still young people, users of Snapchat can get a
exactly.
glimpse of what's going on in the world, just through the
Yeah.
social media outlets they use,
No,
basically. So
thank you,
yeah,
man.
I think that's great. Yeah, I think that's great marketing as well, isn't it?
Thank you, man.
It's great. I love that. So okay. Moving on to Renegade now. So yeah, you've recently launched your own consultancy. Can you tell us a bit about why you chose the name Renegade and also what inspired you to set up the
So,
agency?
the reason why I chose Renegades, well, the term renegade is essentially just become like essentially challenging the status quo. And I'm going to get into the reason why I'm doing that. So, with Renegades, Renegade Consultancy is a brand consultancy agency that births Black innovators to create long-standing and meaningful brands. And our mission is essentially to inspire more Black people to create their own businesses, to reclaim economic ownership. Now, what I realized, and through my research,
Mhm.
there is a lack of ownership within our community. And according to the official national statistics, to become self-employed amongst any other race in the UK. And Black people are literally at the bottom when it comes to self-employment and ownership. So I wanted to essentially challenge that and challenge more Black people and allow have this idea here that they can take forwards and become the best version of themselves. So it's come to a point now where you know we've seen all the marches, because during that time the whole BLM movement was happening, and for me personally, it did
Yeah.
get a bit tedious when there was continuous marches and continuous protests, and that's totally understandable. Protests do work and they happen for a reason, but I felt like there needed to be more actionable steps in order to really bring change within our community, and that is really reviving our economics, and the way we do that is by essentially creating our own businesses, creating our, investing into property, investing into numerous of things or stocks, whatever you name it, but just essentially reclaiming our ownership. And I wanted to create Renegades,
Mhm.
essentially inspire more Black people to achieve what they can achieve, essentially. So going back to the whole name, the reason why I chose Renegade in particular is because I just wanted to change that status quo, change the concept, change the idea and the mindset of Black people in particular, and say, hey, I am capable of building my own brand. I am capable of building my own business. I am capable of owning my own assets. I am capable of owning my own stuff. So it's essentially something just to empower us as Black people, as a community, and really bring. Yeah.
100%. I love that. I love that. And I can agree with you. I think at one point, like you said, during the march, it just felt, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt a bit saddening that we're fighting for things that are already don't have our
Yeah,
like interests at heart. Essentially, like, it's like you're fighting for this and you're fighting for that, and this does the
of course,
system, and
of
it's
course.
not built to work for you, right? It's
Yeah,
built to benefit other people, right? And essentially we're at the bottom of that, unfortunately, and that's how it was built up. And so I get exactly where you're coming from when it comes to like, what can we do to not have to deal with this? What can we do to actually, like you said, reclaim ownership? What can we do to own, our own assets so we don't have to rely on other people to do that for us? You know what I mean? And I can really, really resonate. And I think during that time, especially, there was the rise of like loads of Black-owned businesses, support for Black-owned businesses online, even the invention of Black Pound Day during that time. And I think that was amazing. And even with what you're doing with Renegade, that essentially as well is literally making a change, is actually doing something about it rather than complaining. We do know that protests work, actually. They raise awareness and stuff, but what can we do in the future to, oh, it's freezing, isn't it? Oh, okay, that's fine. But what can we do in the future to have changed, like essentially. So I can totally relate with that, definitely. So with Renegade, what kind of services do you offer your clients? Oh, it is freezing, isn't it? Oh, we're frozen, guys. All right, let me wait for Nee to join, and then we'll continue the conversation. I think it's cut off. Yeah, he must have been frozen. Anyway, guys, if you have questions or any comments, just drop them in the chat, and we will resume once Nee comes back. Let's see if he's in here. Let's see. Let's see. Nee. Let me try adding back. Let's send a request. Okay. Just waiting for him to join.
Hey, can you hear me?
Okay.
Oh, I think it's still loading.
It's loading. But yeah, guys, any questions, anything that you want to contribute to conversation, let me know. Let us know. Put it in the chat if you agree with anything we're saying. If you've got any feedback, let us know. Let's just see if this works. Let's get this loading. Oh. All right, let's try one more time. I'm gonna send a request. Let's see. Okay, we're back.
Oh gosh, so sorry about that. The connection is so poor,
Fine.
man. Honestly.
Okay, all right. No, I was too much of the
Sorry.
time.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Um,
Yeah, it's all good.
yeah, cool. Alrighty. Back to where we were.
Yes. We're
Yes.
talking about
So I was
ownership, right?
just ownership, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just saying, what you're doing with Renegade is really important,
Thank
because
you.
that's making the change, right? It's not just talking about it. It's not just complaining about it. It's not just wishful thinking. It's actually doing something to help, like, creators, innovators in the future to
Yeah.
build up their businesses, right? And their brands. So that's great. So yes, what kind of services do you offer with Renegade?
So with the services that we offer is from brand strategy. So brand strategy, brand messaging and storytelling, videography and editing. We also offer studio access as well, for any photo shoots or video shoots as well. We also offer social media strategy. So everything comprised, and also website design as well, I forgot. But also everything comprised within our services essentially builds up to built for you to build a reputable and meaningful brand. You know, I keep, well, essentially, used each and every one of those services to essentially highlight, what it is and what it takes to create a meaningful brand. And I really made sure that those services are key in doing so. So yeah.
That's great. I love that.
Thank you.
Quick question then. Are you running it alone or do you have a team working with you?
So yeah, currently running it alone, but at the same time, I am also outsourcing people. So when it comes to brand design, um, I have one of my great friends who designs, all the sort of stuff for brand identity,
Yeah.
and also when it comes to website designs, I essentially outsource one of my friends as well. So, and also sort of social media strategy. So essentially built a team around that, but in terms of running it, in terms of running Renegades itself, I'm doing it myself. So but the goal and the aim is to build a team around Renegades where, essentially everyone can collectively come together and essentially
One
keep.
moment.
Oh yeah, cool.
Give us a second. I think the battery's
No
about to
worries.
die.
It's all good. It's good that you called out.
Bear with me.
It's all good.
All right. I'll have to do this without my lighting, but it's okay. We move.
It's all good.
Technical difficulties, but it's okay. I'll stay here and chat to you.
That's fine, man. That's fine. Keep it natural. Keep it nice and natural. We don't need all the lighting.
Exactly. Forget all the lighting. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I love that.
All right. I'm back on my bedroom floor, but it's okay.
It's all good.
as you were.
Yeah. Gosh, what was I even saying?
You were outsourcing and you have a
Yes,
built
yes.
team.
So essentially, the main aim is to, build a team around Renegades, and build a team around Renegades, and I purposely want Renegade to be a collaborative and a community aspect where it's not just about me. This is about galvanizing a community of Black people where we can edify, our community as a whole. So this is not just about a sole essentially a sole entrepreneur who wants to thrive within this industry. No, this is about a person who's passionate about change within our community that wants to bring the community together and collectively bring change. So essentially, that's what I want to do. And if anyone here that is listening and you're really interested, well, we got one application here,
Oh, I
Zero
see
C plus.
it.
Send your CV through, mate, and we can go through the process. But no, honestly, anyone that is interested, about Renegade, feel free to shoot me a DM or a message. And yeah, no, honestly, I'm just ready to build. I'm ready to build with you guys, man.
I love that. I love that. You know, guys, you heard him. Definitely join if you feel like this is a service you'll benefit from. If you think
Yeah,
that will help you, your business, and you also want to collaborate with other, Black creators and whatnot, then get involved, guys, because this is a service here, like for you. Do you know what I mean? Can't complain that there isn't any services and it's right here. So, yeah,
yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah.
Love this.
Yeah.
I love that. So, what does the day-to-day life look like you when you're running Renegade?
Um, so day-to-day life. So I've literally just started 2 weeks ago. So
Mhm.
right now it's all a bit muddled up. But so far it's been literally a case of back-to-back calls. So honestly, I'm so thankful and fortunate enough to have the reception that I received. So honestly, thank you so much, guys, for the support. Really do appreciate it. But honestly, it's just been a case of doing discovery calls and learning about different people's businesses and seeing where their heads at right now with their brands. And, essentially, if they do want a service and you want me to assist you in that, we can always go through that process. So, I've been going through those stages now with people who are interested about edifying their brand. And yeah. Right now, it's um, just sort of balancing, I'm marrying everything, what I'm doing with Dose Society, Run with Purpose, and Renegade, essentially.
Hmm.
So, yeah, no, honestly, it's been great. It's also been tough, but also manageable as well.
Good to hear. Of course, it gets like that.
Yeah,
I guess at the beginning stages,
of
it's
course, of
like
course, of course.
still figuring things out, still working
Mm-hmm,
on it. It's at the
mm-hmm.
beginning stages, but it'll definitely
Exactly.
build up. And you'll
Oh no,
be
God
busy.
willing, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
God willing. So speaking of starting from an idea, with Renegade, what was the process like of launching the agency from idea to finished project?
Cool. I'm gonna give you a little story at
Story
this.
time.
So, so essentially, it got to a point where obviously with running Dose and Run with Purpose, naturally some of my peers and a lot of my friends, usually call me up and ask me for advice about business and building up their own brand. And it got to a point where I think there was a day where I received like a good like 5 calls and it was like back to back, back to back, back to back. And my girlfriend, she was like, you know what, you should just start an agency. You should just start a consultancy agency because, the fact that people are taking up your time like this, you should really
Hey.
look into that. No, the thing is, it's not even the case about paying. It's just like the fact of starting up something on a platform where people
Of
can
course.
identify where all these services are available to edify that brand. So yeah, it really got to that point. So I was a bit, conscious about that. And as you do, when starting up a brand, you have that fear factor. You start to have that imposter syndrome going through your mind,
Mm.
like, am I capable of doing this? Am I, do I have enough time? And I went through that same imposter syndrome when starting Dose, starting Run with Purpose. Um, but you know, as I said before, I'm also a runner. And one thing that really helped me is going out for a run that day and, helping me really get to grips with the idea and how I could really make this idea meaningful and purposeful. So I went for a run, and during that run as well, it's it then enabled me to, get to grips with the purpose behind it, because I didn't want it to just be any ordinary consultancy agency. I wanted it to be a specific target audience. And this is one of the key things when it comes to branding as well, like knowing your audience and knowing how to target them.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be meaningful as well. So, by me starting a consultancy agency, it's always great to, reach out to a wider audience. But what is the audience that needs it? Which audience particularly needs this help? And, through my research, through finding out that Black workers are least likely to become self-employed, that's when I realized, you know what, I need to target my Black people. I need to target them. I need to target my Black people. I need to target my community and really help bring, people's ideas to life and help them get to grips with their ideas and be more, just be more open about it, because when it comes to creating a business or creating a brand, a lot of people are very hesitant. And as I said, as we all do, we have that sort of imposter syndrome coming to us and thinking, oh, cool, am I capable of doing this? But I'm there, and Renegade is there to essentially help people and inspire people to say that, yes, you can do this. You can, build this brand. You can, achieve greatness. You can own stuff, and this is what we at Renegade do. And that's what I want to, essentially inspire a lot of my my Black fellow people and essentially own stuff, man. We need to own stuff. We need to own stuff. So yeah. Essentially is that, man.
I love that. I love that. I think it's so key what you said as well. Even in the process of you building it, you did still have that kind of like imposter syndrome, still that kind of like fear, like, the questions you have when you're building up a project. Like, I totally relate. But you still went. And I love that you said you went for a run, and then that helped you like clear your mind, figure out what you're doing. And like you said, you had your girlfriend helping you, and people, I guess, kind of like helping you, elevating you, and to carry on and build it. Essentially, I think that's so important whenever you're creating something. One, to have the right people. Two, even if you feel the fear, just to go ahead and do it anyway. And then also the thing that helps you overcome that. So I feel like when it comes to creating, even with Renegade, as you said, like the more you create, the more you realize you can do it. Do you know what I mean? You have to put through actually just doing something. Like you just have to take 100%, action.
100%.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of timing, man. Honestly, it's a matter of timing. I think a lot of people want to go from 0 to 100, and just going back to the whole idea of romanticizing the whole concept of entrepreneurship. A lot of people don't see the journey. A lot of people see, oh yeah, and I'm an entrepreneur and this is what I'm doing. I have a lot of free time, but no, that's not the case. Like the amount of depression and the amount of anxiety I've gone through, it's been tedious and it's been tiring, honestly. So it's a matter of timing and just level of consistency. And there's a quote that I live by also is, my future awaits my consistency. And it's a matter of being consistent within that. Your future essentially awaits your consistency. You have to be consistent in order to see your future thrive and achieve and fulfill the purpose that you have.
Yeah, that's so true. I was going to ask this question at the end, but you brought it up, and we got thumbs up. Joel says, "The more you create, the more you bring it back." So true.
Yes, 100%. I see Chi there as well. Yes, Chi.
Thank you guys for tuning in and engaging. You brought up a point, and you said that, well, essentially, actually, it's the title of this series, which is "The Dream is Free" and "The Hustle Sold Separately," and that basically means, it's easy to have a dream, right? It's free to have an idea, a dream, a goal, for example, but the hustle behind it it's not free. Do you understand? Like you actually. You have to put in the work, and it's like you said, people don't see that side of it. People only see the glamorous side of, like you said, entrepreneurship. And this series is about showing the kind of the dark side, the ugly side, the tough things that you have to go through, like you said, imposter syndrome and stuff. So the question I did want to ask you, I want to leave that to the end because I like to ask my guests at the end, but the question I want to ask you is, what does hustle mean to you?
Hustle. The word hustle, I think for me, hustle. I used to use this phrase a lot, and
Mm,
I've kind of moved away from it, and I'll tell you why. Um, I think hustle for me personally is an act of essentially overdoing and overworking yourself.
mm,
You know what I mean? And
mm,
what I've realized during the process of my entrepreneurial journey, I've realized how it's so key to rest as well. It's so key to rest because when you rest as well, that's when you even thrive within your creativity. Um, I
mm,
remember reading one book, and there's no. I remember reading one book, and it specifically said there's no specific time for you to be creative, or innovative. You can't schedule the time and say, yes, on Monday,
mm.
7 o'clock, I'm going to be creative. No, I mean, for some people it could, but at the same time, you may be exhausted, you may be tired, but at the same time, you know, when you rest, it allows you to really birth that creativity and really birth, really innovative ideas that you have and which you can instill within, implement within, your brands or whatever that you're doing, whether that's even just creating something, and I think the term hustle has also been romanticized where it's case like no hustle, no sleep. I mean, all hustle, sleep, all that stuff, all that, and it's just like, you have to rest as well. You have to rest, especially as an entrepreneur. You know,
Mm,
um, but don't get me wrong, like with all hard work, that's where success comes into place. But
yeah.
remember that you also have to rest. You also have to rest. Take time to just, to just be with self. Take time to just be with self. Whether that's jogging, whether that's reading a book, wherever it's spending time with family, you name it. I think it's so important to rest and not to just say, yeah, hustle, hustle. I'm not gonna sleep. You know, yeah, yeah. Honestly, I've realized that, especially within that entrepreneurial journey.
Definitely, it's true.
Yeah.
Balance is so key, and rest is actually productive. People might feel like you're being counterproductive when you're just chilling. Like you said, you're
Mm,
reading a book, you're watching TV. There's a time for everything, There's a
mm,
time to rest, there's a time to work, and yeah, in order not to overwork yourself, in order not to burn out, you need that balance. So it's so
mm.
true, like what you're saying,
100%, man.
100%.
100%.
So
100%.
yeah, I appreciate you sharing your concept of hustle and kind of breaking it down. And like you said, you used to use it a lot, but you've now
Yeah.
scaled back and you realize that actually, wait,
Yeah.
you have to have rest too. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really
No, 100%. 100%.
100%. Definitely. So just going
Yeah.
back to the branding part really quickly,
Yeah.
why do you think it's important to have a personal brand?
Um,
If there's
well, I
something you
think,
want to do.
yeah, yeah, of course, of course, of course.
Mm,
Um, I mean, the two go hand in hand, essentially, with when it comes to building your own brands and your personal brand. Um, in order to build an authentic brand, you have to put a face behind it, and you have to
mm,
put a face on the brand, to allow people to identify with who is behind that brand and who that person is, because people buy into people, you
yeah.
know, with by having a brand, just there and not and people not knowing who that person is or who's creating that, you know, there's that disingenuous sort of act behind it because you're not seeing the true authenticity behind who's creating that brand, and you want to know who's behind it. So I think it's so important to marry the two between your brand and your personal brand, and putting your face to your personal brand, which is why it's so important to just so even with starting up Renegade, I had to make sure that yes, I do have an introduction video, a
Yeah.
powerful introduction video that people know and can essentially relate to. You know, which is so key. So it's so important to just marry the two when it comes to your personal brand and the brand as well, because people buy into people essentially.
I definitely agree. I agree, definitely. People want to hear your
Yeah,
story, they want to know where you've come
exactly,
from, and it
exactly.
helps them to actually tap into your services and actually want to work with you,
Yeah,
follow you,
yeah,
listen to what you say.
yeah.
How about though, if you want to have a faceless brand, right? What if you have, say, for example, a product-based brand, or you
Mm,
have, or I see, for example, like on Instagram, there's, I don't know, like say for example personal development page, right,
yeah.
and there's no real person behind it, but whatever they post on their page, for example, people can relate to. Do they
Hmm.
need to see a person to relate to their personal story, or can people just create brands where it's
Hmm.
faceless?
Um, the thing is, it really depends because if it's a brand where people can actually relate to and there's a lot of personal development and people are being inspired by that particular content, that's all well and good. But I think to really edify the brand, to really to take it up to a notch and really to really relate to your consumer, it's a matter of having that face and seeing who that person is
Mm.
to take that brand to the next level. Because I've seen so many brands where um, they, especially small brands, especially they started out and there's been no face to the brand, and it just lacks that authenticity. And you have to, in order for your brand to be authentic, you really need to have that touch where you are, even if it's just going on live or doing a simple video for a story and just saying, hey guys, this is what we're up to today. Just having that touch there. But there are also brands that do succeed in not having a face, but that also depends on what the brand has to offer. Because with Dose of Society, we started out with just doing voices on the streets and interviewing people on the street, and that has a very humane touch where people are essentially sharing their stories and being empathetic about what's currently happening in society. So in that way, we managed to galvanize a community and an audience where people could relate to, but that's because there was a story behind it. So there
Yeah.
has to be that element of story and something that can emotionally trigger an individual to allow them to be attached to that brand. So it really depends on what the brand has to offer, but I would definitely say have, make sure that your face is at the forefront of the brand. Let people identify and relate to you.
Fair enough. Okay. What if you're shy?
Well, if you're shy, you gotta come out of that comfort zone, man. It's time. It's 2020. It's time to
Exactly.
come out of that shell. It's
No, it's
time.
true.
It's time. It's time. It's time. And there's times I can't lie. There's times where I feel a bit shy. There's times where I feel a bit hesitant. For me, I'm such a perfectionist. Honestly, I'm such a
Mm.
perfectionist. So it's like when it comes to these things, it's like, yo, should I do it or should I? But there's times where you have to realize that you have to come out of that shell. You have to come out of that shell in order to see that growth. In order to see true success within your brand and growth within your brand as well.
Mm. That's good to
Yeah.
hear, man. That's encouraging to hear because even for I speak for myself, but I know a lot of people go through it too. They're trying to build up a brand. So obviously, with my page here, it's the growth for
Yeah.
me. I was actually wanting to turn it into just a page that inspires other people, helps them get through personal development stuff, issues, whatever, and also helps them to spark their creativity. But like I realized that I have the story, right? I have the experiences, and that's what people relate to. Whenever I
Yeah.
have posted something about myself or something I've been through, for example, when I was
Mhm.
speaking about that graduating from uni, for example, and the
Yeah.
journey that I went through going through that, like there was a lot of engagement. A lot of people was like, I can relate.
Yeah.
It's just kind of engaging, and I guess it's true when you kind of come out. And share yourself with the world, share your story with the world. It brings people towards you, and it makes them
Yeah.
connect with you like, emotionally.
100%.
And so I'm seeing the benefits of that definitely. Because for me, like you said, personally, I'm like I don't want people to see me. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm kind
I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
of
100%.
but no, I'm seeing the importance definitely of actually connecting with people. It just
Yeah.
makes them, like you said, it's humane, right? You connect with humans, so
Exactly.
if you want to build your brand, if you want to grow, I think, like you said, definitely take your advice and just try putting yourself out there a little bit,
Yeah. Honestly. Honestly.
Definitely.
Honestly. It does take time. It does take
Mm,
time. Like no pressure on people. Honestly, no
mm,
pressure.
yeah.
But honestly, if you do really want to see your brand grow, I would definitely consider, having a restructuring of your strategy and just think about ways you can introduce, your face to the brand and
Yeah. Slowly,
yeah.
gradually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course it will come naturally. It will come.
definitely. Even if it's like a one Instagram story, you're just doing a
Yeah,
about us, for example, or even on your website, and about us is just a picture of you. Then you don't have to do it. Not like you don't have to do it for
exactly.
the rest of the time, but just as long as they can see, oh, okay,
Yeah,
this is the founder. Okay,
exactly.
like nice to see who it is, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
precisely.
Indeed. So
Precisely.
moving on, um, swiftly. There's a few more things I want to cover. So are you okay to go over the hour?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Okay, no worries.
That's cool.
So
Um,
quickly, I just
I do have a call at 8 though. I do have a call at 8.
okay. Let me speed this up
But
then.
it's
So,
cool. Do you know what? Yeah, yeah, it's cool. Cool. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Go on.
okay, I'll try to speed it up. Ask the top
Okay,
question.
cool.
Ask really quickly.
Yeah.
All right. One mistake you see Black creators or businesses make, and then the second one is one tip to create a strong brand. So one mistake you see loads of creators or businesses make, and the second one is one tip to create a strong brand.
Cool. One mistake that I see a lot of Black creators make
Hmm.
um, is essentially not reaching a particular audience. And a lot of people, a lot of creators tend to think that, cool, I'm going to reach out to like literally everyone. I'm going to reach out to everyone and make sure that this, that particular audience is, catered for. But in order to really reach an audience, it's so it's so essential to have a niche.
Mm,
So essential to reach a particular audience in order to see growth. Because one, you stand out more. Two, um, you specialize in that area. And three, there's more of an emotional attachment to the brand. So, for example, with Run with Purpose, we are a community helping men overcome mental health issues through running and socializing. The reason why we catered it just to men is because we saw, the lack of the lack of mental health um, opportunities that was being offered, and
yeah.
we saw that men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than females. And, the fact that Joel and I are both men, and we know that men are very, they tend to bottle their emotions in. We decided to create a safe space where men can become the very best version of themselves. And because we know this, because we specialize in this, and because we are men, essentially ourselves. So, it's enabled now the brand to become more noticeable and allow the brand to stand out more, which is why I was saying, going back to the whole idea of sticking to a niche, knowing your particular niche, knowing how to target that niche and relate to them as well. So yeah, that's definitely one of the key areas where I see a lot of creators lacking in. And also really another thing, if I can add, is identifying their purpose. The purpose is the core and main foundation to your brands in anything that you do. It's not, a lot of people tend to think that, yes, it's all about having the logo, the right colors, and,
Yeah.
the right typography. But no, it's all about having that purpose laid out and, on a foundation so that people can then relate to that. Um, you know, every time you're thinking about collaborating with a particular company or doing something, you always root back to the purpose and see whether it aligns with the purpose or not. And then then you'll be able to see that your brand has this particular personality behind it, because each brand has a personality. Do you understand? So it's all about having mainly laying down that purpose and making sure that you align that with everything that you're doing, whether it comes to collaborations, whether that comes to your content, whether that comes to anything that you're doing, anything. So yeah, that's definitely something else to hone in on as well. What was the next question again? What
Well,
was the next question?
I don't know if you've answered it or if you want to add to it, but the second part was what is one thing they can do to create a strong brand? And I think, like you said,
Mm.
have a purpose probably. But if you want to add something else to that, then definitely go for it.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, purpose, knowing your
Yeah.
customers, well, knowing your niche audience, um, and then it essentially just stems on from there. Like that's when you can incorporate, the brand identity, the logo, really bring it to life. So, but when you're thinking about a brand, really do start from the bottom, the ground up, the foundation. What is the purpose? Why am I doing this? Think about how think about why you're particularly doing this as well. What's the story behind why you're doing it? Do you
Mm,
understand? And also, um, thinking about what society or where is the lack? What is the market opportunity within this? So thinking about ways you can really bring that brand to life by laying down the foundation, and then after it all goes from there. The niche, then after you can incorporate all the logos, the colors, and really bring it to life from there.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I'm actually taking those tips on board myself for my own business
Yeah,
too, so that's really, really helpful.
that's
Yeah,
all
so I just
good.
want to ask you a few more questions. Obviously, I know you've got a call. So we already touched a little bit, I guess, on ownership in the Black community, but another thing you talk about as well is generational wealth. So I just want to know, why
Mm,
is generational wealth important to you? Why should it be important to us as a community as well? How can we build it, type of thing?
yeah. Honestly, it is so close to my heart, the whole idea of generational wealth, because the way I see it, we are brought into this earth to essentially edify and essentially leave the next generation with you know, something, essentially, whatever that something is, but we need to leave them with something. And especially within our community, as I said, there's a lack of ownership, and the two go hand in hand with ownership and generational wealth. And if we're going to leave something behind, we need to essentially own something, whether that is investing into property, whether that is investing into stocks, whether that is investing into your own brand. Those things then trickle down to, your kids and your kids' kids and kids' and basically. So it's a matter of making sure that we continue that cycle and bring that cycle to life through, everything that we're doing, and making sure that, cool, I'm not just doing this for me. This is not just for me. This is essentially to edify the community and the future generations to come. So, yeah, honestly, generational wealth, ownership, they go hand in hand, and ownership is key to achieve generational wealth, I would say.
Definitely. I love that. I love that. Oh, I wish we could delve in more, but I want to respect your
You know
time.
what? Let's go on. Let's go. I'm loving this. I'm
No,
enjoying this. I'll tell
listen,
him. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll tell him. I'll tell him. It's
listen, don't tell them Tracy messed up your business opportunities, like your your relationship with your clients. Are you sure?
No, this is not a client. It's just a catch up. It's a catch up. It's a catch up.
Okay,
Anyway, so
then.
it's
All
cool.
right, fine. If you say so. Whoever's
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
it,
it's all good.
I'm so sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry. We've got some juicy questions to get into.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you've essentially rounded up, I guess, with generational wealth. Like
Mm,
you said, I agree with you as well. It's really important, especially to me as well. I feel like to a lot of us, it's something maybe that we don't really speak about in our families, that a lot of people don't know about.
mm,
As I was trying to get at before, what are some of the ways we can build it, or how can we, I guess, start to build our knowledge on it? So how can we get that going? Is it through talking to our family members, talking to them
mm.
about investments, talking to them about property? How can we get that kind of knowledge and get that conversation going amongst the Black community in our families and so forth?
100%. And it's so important that you said that. I love the fact that you brought that up, because one thing that we as a community lack is that whole idea of affiliation, where we can go to someone about learning all these tips, and it's something that is totally opposite to the white counterpart, because there's a lot of opportunities within the white counterpart that enables them to go further within different avenues and different streams within life. But
Mm.
one thing that our community lacks is one of those, what is essentially that community where we can learn about these tips and learn about how we can create businesses and really invest into these things. So it really does stem to more actionable steps, whether it's building up more renegades, more, you know, more things that could really edify communities, to educate people. Because really and truly, I essentially just see this as well as an educational tool, a tool that would help other Black people and inspire other Black people about wealth and ownership, and allow them to understand that, hey, you know what, I can own stuff, I can build my own stuff. A lot of people think by building a business and building a brand, you need all this time, you need all this money, but no, you don't. Honestly,
Yeah.
you honestly don't. There's so many tools and so much access out there that can help you build those brands. Just a matter of research, identifying your purpose, and then you got tools like Canva, or you got
Right.
tools like Wix. You
Simple.
got tools like Wix. Like, exactly. Like, there's so many things that can help you just build a brand from scratch. And that's what I essentially did with Run with Purpose. Literally no money. It was just a matter of really tapping into the cause, the purpose, tapping into, you know, why I want to start it, and then really building the brand from there, you know, niching out my audience, and then, you know, creating that brand around it, you know. So, you know, maybe I injected a little bit of money, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot, honestly. It was just a matter of, you know, building that brand. And that was just through, you know, building the logo and all that stuff. It was just a little money that was injected. But other than that, honestly, it takes nothing. It's just a matter of you being available, you investing into yourself, you know, which is so important. And that's another key area. Black people, we need to invest in ourselves more. We need to invest. And I feel like there's that lack of investment within our community. We need to invest in ourselves and, you know, not hold that chip on our shoulder and think, okay, cool, I can't do this or I can't do that because, you know, I don't have this opportunity, or I'm not privileged enough to be in this opportunity. But, you know, there's so many ways around that, and you can apply yourself. It's just about being available and just, you know, investing in yourself essentially.
Yeah, I love that so much.
Yeah,
You
no, it's all
literally
good.
hit the nail on the head, basically.
Yeah,
It's so like you
thank you.
said, you know, my counterparts, they have that kind of privilege, I guess. There's nepotism, there's so many things that we don't really
Yes,
have
that's what I was
in this.
looking for. Nepotism. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nepotism.
No, yeah, it's true. They have these privileges, and you know, sometimes, like you said, it's easy to have that chip on the shoulder, like, you know, oh, I didn't grow up
Mm,
this way, didn't grow up with money, didn't grow up with this. But there is so many ways to invest in yourself. It honestly doesn't cost a lot. Go to the library, read free books on finance,
yeah,
read free books
yeah,
on whatever.
yeah,
These
yeah,
things like
yeah,
Canva
yeah.
are free until you get the premium, which is the best.
Exactly.
But there's so many different ways to invest in yourself, little by little. Like
100%.
read,
100%.
watch these videos that's going to help you. Like, we all have phones, we all have internet, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully, we all have that kind of access. You know, we all have
yeah.
access to technology somehow these days. So
Mm,
yeah, it's so true. You just need to invest in yourself in order to build up that wealth, in
100%.
order to build up yourself, your
Yeah,
family, the people
yeah,
around you, community.
yeah.
Just to round up then,
100%.
I guess. I want to go back to you,
Yeah.
and some questions about your journey.
Hmm.
So, what sacrifices and investments have you made in yourself to become who you are today, the Neela Tay that I'm interviewing today? What have you invested? What have you had to let go of?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. One of the big things is time.
Mm,
Um, Obviously, um, there is a matter of, you know, you applying yourself and, you know, allowing yourself to be available to create, you know, the brands that you want to create. So you have to apply that time. And, you know I said before that it doesn't take that much time, but to create that brand. But at the same time, it's a matter of consistency as well. You know, I
mm,
understand that people may be in positions of 9 to 5, but there's always, you know, some, you know, time within the day where you can just apply like an hour or so, 2 hours, you know, to just work on your brand. You know, work
yeah,
on your brand, work on your business, and it goes from there because, you know, you're thinking now long term. You're thinking now long term, and one of the mindsets that, well, essentially one of the sort of the key phrases that I applied and that I applied mentally as well is that when working 9 to 5, you know, you're essentially working for someone else. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, there is nothing wrong with that. But
mm,
what happens now when you pass away? Because it's an inevitable fact that everyone's going to die.
mm,
Everyone's going to die. And it's an inevitable fact that once that happens, you know, they're going to send their condolences. You know, the company's going to send their condolences, and, you know, you know, they're going to do that for like a month or so. But they're going to replace that position. Someone is going to replace that position. Do you
mm,
understand? And you have to think about, what am I leaving behind now? What is essentially am I leaving behind? Which is why I was just going. Um, I was literally honing in on a whole aspect of ownership. You know, just investing into that whole idea of owning your own stuff and generational wealth, because it then gets passed down. Do you
yeah,
understand? So it's yeah, it's really a matter of honing into the whole concept of ownership and knowing that, you know, throughout the process of what I'm doing and the time that I invest in, I will be able to, you know, achieve that ownership and achieve, you know, great success within building that brand. So yeah, I'll definitely say time has um, been a key part for me, and also friends as well. I wouldn't necessarily say like friends, but like associates, I would say, like, because I would take the word friends lightly, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, I don't
No,
take
no.
it lightly, I should say. um, it's yeah, no, honestly, I've had to, you know, give up, you know, certain circles, and I had to give up, you know, certain time when it comes to these things, and obviously that comes with time. So it's all about navigating those right areas, about how you can apply yourself. Am I applying the right time in this? Am I applying the right time in that? Which one is going to edify me? Which one is going to bring to life and the true vision of what I want to achieve? So for me personally, yeah, it has been associates and also yeah, my time as well.
Lovely. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. Lovely. Rounding up, last two to three questions. Quickly,
Yeah.
what role has your faith played in what you do? So you've spoken a lot about
Mhm.
purpose.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know you for
Yeah,
going
yeah, of course, of course, of course.
and
Yeah,
so I know you play a part in what you do and how you operate.
yeah,
So what would you say? How would you say your faith plays a part in what you do? Is it a big part of what you do?
yeah,
Your everything
yeah,
you're
yeah.
working on.
Honestly, it's played a big part for me. And without my faith, I honestly wouldn't be in the position I am today, because I've always I've always laid God as my anchor when it comes to, you know, building up my brands, and always dedicated um, you know, my time to God when it comes to building up these brands. You know, before building up those, before building up Run with Purpose and even Renegades, you know, I made sure that I dedicated it to God, and made sure that there was that affirmation to really build those. You know what I mean? And you know, as I said, I feel everyone has a calling and a purpose on this earth, and it's a matter of applying that, you know, to really fulfill the God-given purpose that you have. And for me, it was like it was essentially thrown, you know, like God. For me personally, it was God was saying that, you know, he just essentially handed it to me. You know, when it came to those to Run with Purpose and Renegades, you know, he was giving me signs and showing me and affirming me that I should delve into these. And it's so important to essentially, you know, really um, yeah, essentially maintain and reach that success within, you know, building your brand. So for me personally, God has been my anchor. My faith has been my anchor within my whole process, um, and essentially achieving that as well.
I love that. Love that. Beautiful. All right. Last question then, in regards to this life. What is the vision for Renegade in a year's time? Where do you see it in a year's time?
Mhm. Essentially building a platform where, as I said, this is not just about me. This is a collaborative approach. There's my business partner
Right.
Ahmed from DOS. Yeah, this is about a collaborative approach where this is not just about me. You know, I want to see a community of Black people where we are coming together and building something substantial, where, you know, we can change the narrative. We can essentially change the whole concept of you know, being the least likely to become self-employed when it comes to employment, essentially, and ownership. So I want to essentially change that narrative, but I want to do it in a collaborative approach and build, you know, a team around of people who want to see that. So yeah, essentially building a team where everyone is capable of seeing that vision and knowing that they can fulfill that vision and that mission um, to, as I said, you know, reclaim economic ownership. That's the plan. That's the aim, man. So, you know, building that team and yeah, essentially it's that, man.
That's
Honestly,
beautiful. I love it. I love it. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Lee, for joining
it's
this
all good,
session.
man. Honestly, I really appreciate it, man. I really enjoyed that conversation.
You know, you really dropped gems. I was literally just gonna say, like, you really dropped gems. I've enjoyed it. I've learned something from
Thank you,
it,
thank you.
and I hope that it's helped somebody out there who is watching.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you could take some tips, some
Yeah.
nuggets of wisdom from this, and yeah, I hope you guys apply it, guys. If you are interested in what Renegade Consultancy do, Please follow them. Please give me a shout, a DM, a message. Also follow the society and Run
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Purpose.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and just support, guys. Just support.
yeah,
Just even a follow, share the page.
yeah. All of that, all of that, all of
If
that.
you love what, yeah, if you love what he's doing, go ahead and support a fellow brother. Do you understand? Come and
Yes.
support your
Come on,
people.
come on, come on.
Support your people. So, are there any other announcements or any projects we should keep our eyes on? Or is it just you're running with Renegade right now, you're just working on it?
Yeah, literally, I'm tied up now, man. That's it. That's it. That's it for now.
Fair enough.
I can only handle three, man. I'm only
Come
one
on.
person, so yeah, man.
Exactly.
Honestly, just guys, please support. Follow Renegade. It's called Renegade Consultancy. Follow Dose of Society, and also follow Run with Purpose LDN Instagram. So yeah, guys, really
And
appreciate
where
you
can they
guys
follow
tuning in.
you?
Oh, me. N Latte. Well, you probably can see it there. N Latte 1. Yeah,
Lovely.
feel free to follow me, drop me a DM if you know, want it's anything really, anything. I'm always here for a chat. Doesn't have to be, just anything, man, honestly.
Are you sure? Anything?
Anything.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
man.
Okay, you said it. All right, thank you guys. Joel said I really enjoyed this. Loved it. Crystal joined in, Benny. Thank you guys for
Yes. Thank you guys, man.
glad
Really
you got
appreciate it.
from it. Lovely. And I'll let you guys enjoy your evening. Thank you, Nee,
Yeah,
so much. Go back
no
to your
worries,
call.
man. Take care, man.
All right.
I'll see you,
Bye.
man. Bye.